All right.
Bless whole family. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the Modern Day Shamans podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Today we got an extra special podcast going on, and it's an honor to have two very powerful beings with me. And yeah, it's a special one. We're gonna be going into Shade's experience on the Journey Beyond Wellness retreat, which is the retreat that we hosted last year in August. And oh wow, like Shade is someone extremely special to me. Just what we were able to experience during the retreat and seeing her come in and step into her full power, and to see someone who just embodies that divine feminine essence and is still strong and it still stands up for herself and is still like well spoken, and like everything she says is like it's like a poem. It's so smooth. So it's an honor to be able to share a bit of Sade's story with you, and experience that we had together, and just to see how what happened since she went on the retreat to where she is now. I've seen a lot of amazing things happening. So I'm so excited. And of course, we got Mark Roman, the inner trainer, in the building. Mark Roman, that's my mindfulness meditation goals. He's the mindfulness. He leads the mindfulness aspect on the Journey Beyond Wellness retreat. But you know, everyone that we have is just so dynamic. So Mark is so dynamic in his offerings right now. He has his orgasmic living course, you know, teaching people how to access their bliss, you know, how to step into their joy and just enjoy that life, and just, you know, really deep into that relationship and just that cosmic partnerships. So, you know, it's really dynamic, brother. We got a powerful trio right now. And I give thanks for both of you all for joining me, and for everyone who's on the line joining right now. Let's just welcome Mark and Shade. How you two doing?
Oh my goodness. That introduction, I'm like, I could feel the tears bubbling up in my eyes. Just so full of gratitude and so humbled by your words and just this experience connecting with you guys. It feels like a soul family reunion. So I'm just very thankful to be able to see you guys and speak with you.
Give thanks. A pleasure to connect again.
Mm-hmm.
Give thanks. It definitely is a pleasure, and I'm feeling grateful, inspired, and motivated, charged, grounded, and just thankful for these beautiful beings, man, that we made it here again. It's been several months since the last time we've seen each other in person, and so much has transpired. So just to hold space and, you know, share the message of where we're at, where we've been, and what's really important to us, that's exciting, man.
Yeah, so it's a blessing. I'm grateful for y'all to be here. And Shade, let's get into this journey that we went on. I want to bring up a story that for me, this was like during the retreat when I was there sitting down in the evening, all the birds, all the bugs around us making it's like so loud. It's such a vibrant, alive night. And we were having our late night reasoning sessions where we're basically just, you know, healing through conscious connecting conversations. And there was that one time when Priest Kailash was like, because we play this game for those listening, we played a game about, we ask, what are you thinking? And when you get asked, what are you thinking? You just respond without any inhibition. You just respond with the first thing. Priest Kailash asked Shade what she was thinking, and she was feeling some emotions, but the emotions weren't hers. and I want Shade, I would like for you to go into that moment, explaining when you really came into your power and just like how you were able to feel emotions of other people. You want to tell the story from your side?
I just want to say it was completely unexpected because I was feeling three different things. I was feeling the emotions that I shared, and I was feeling the emotions of someone else that I spoke about later on after they shared a very personal story. And then I was feeling my own emotions, which were, these are not your feelings. Don't hold on to these, which is something I tend to do, and kind of get swallowed into sometimes. So like feeling those emotions of, I don't want to be here, I want to go home, when just moments ago I was so like full of joy and so happy to be there, was kind of unbalancing for me, because I was like, I don't want to go home. I want to be here. Like this is what I've asked for. This is exactly the moment that I've been waiting for this whole year, and it's happening. And then these very strong emotions, like, no, but I need to get home. I need to go right now. I need to leave this instance. They don't understand what's happening. I need to leave, and I need to like retreat from the group. And what was happening was, another member of the soul family was feeling that they were going through a situation where they were being called to go home, and they had to decide if this journey was for them to continue, or if they needed to go plug back into their physical reality. So it was unlike anything I had felt before, because I tend to pick up emotions from other people, again, very easily, but I don't necessarily always know that those are other people's emotions. They kind of like, it flows so naturally into my essence that I think it's how I feel, but distinctively in that moment, I was like, there are three very strong emotions happening, like fear and shame, the need to run away, and then this kind of like calm, settling peace. And I was like, it's not possible for me to feel all of those things, but I did simultaneously, and it was insane, humbling, but very insane.
Yeah, it was so powerful, because what ended up happening after that, Priest Cash was like, these are your feelings, like own your feelings. You were basically like, no, they're not mine. They're not mine. I know this. I know they're not mine. And shortly thereafter, someone from the group came forward and expressed themselves and just shared all that they were holding on to, and had like the greatest release that I've personally seen ever in my lifetime. And in that moment, I sat back and I was like, wow, like this is real. Like we're really doing the work. We're really going through this transformation, going through the healing.
Mm-hmm.
It was so powerful.
So beautiful. I think something that made it possible was the fact that there were so many women there, and the balance of the divine masculine and feminine, but the divine masculine opening their hearts and their ears to the story of the divine feminine, so that we collectively could feel safe to express the rawest emotions. I mean, we shared, like, I think personally, I shared things that I didn't even share with like my mother, close friends of mine that I've had since kindergarten. And I'm 29, so that's 24 years of friendship, that those people don't even know these stories. And I just was able to pour out and accept the past and come to terms with it. And all of us were able to like dive deep into that release, and that mode of receiving, because we knew that we weren't going to fall or be mocked or shamed. We were going to be caught, and love was going to be poured into us. So I think it was so transforming. Seriously, one of the best moments of the trip for me.
Yeah, that's powerful. And just how you mentioned how there was the women that held space, but also the men that were holding space for the women. And I feel that's such a powerful opportunity for us to come together as men and women and heal together, and to feel that energy and hold space for each other, and to understand, to take in and just understand what's really going on with our counterparts. And I would love, Mark, if you want to touch on this. I feel like you have some powerful things to add to that side of things.
Yes, for sure, brother. It's such a give and receive in relationship, and most of the trauma and wounding that happens, whether on the masculine side or the feminine side, it tends to play out as I don't know how to give, or I don't know how to receive, or both. And so when we get into those spaces of, well, love is here, love is clear, love is present, but then what is in the way? So we just need to get into the space of, okay, identifying what is in the way. Do you trust that love is here? Do you trust that we're here for a reason? Can you see that there's a connection? Can you feel that heart-based connection without the mental perceptions of it? Just not applying a story to it. Can you just feel the energetic presence? We just call it the electromagnetic interaction. There's you, there's me, and there's the energy between us. So when we can acknowledge that we have an energy that's existing and alive between the two of us, and we're both responsible for what we're bringing to this magnetic soup that we're sharing here together. When we can acknowledge that, okay, my thoughts, my emotions, and my actions, they matter. They're coming into this space and we're sharing this co-creation. This is a co-creation. Everybody on this line right now, this is a co-creation. This is a massive ship. This is a relationship. And everything we put into this ship, even those that are watching on the YouTube, when we're looking at the comment section, what are you adding? What are you adding of your uniqueness? What are you giving? And are you receiving this message? So we all have this electric and magnetic, I won't say correspondence, but more of a mode of being. So you have that electric, what are you giving? You have that magnetic receptivity. So between man and woman, man tends to be more emphasized towards the electric side of the spectrum, but he has his magnetic nature. Woman tends to be more emphasized towards the magnetic, but she has her electric nature. So if we can honor where there's a synergy, you have something, I have something, and then together we're sharing, and there's a synergy, and we can honor that. So a lot of what I was experiencing during the retreat was Honorable Priest Kailash's ability to honor women to the highest level. I've always honored women, but like that highest level, like her power, she is dictating so much of where the relationship goes and may not even recognize it to the highest level just because of what she's allowing to receive. What she's allowing to receive, what seed she's allowing to sit in her soil, what she's allowing to sprout out. So with that being said, I've witnessed since that retreat, and even in Shade's presence, because Shadae, you have this slow fire energy where it works through you in a slow way, and it's permeating, but it's fire, meaning it's transforming you. So most men may be actually resistant to being influenced or modified or changed by women. But in your presence, I had to actually let myself shift. Okay, this is happening right now. Every conversation, this is happening. Something's happening. And often, and I recognize this in myself, this is why I can speak so clearly on it, is that we'll resist. It's like this dominant sub-nature where we'll resist being influenced by someone else, especially a woman. So if we can all acknowledge in our relationships, like man and woman, just all the men just say for a moment, like, man, my woman changed me for the better, you know, and I felt it, you know, and I felt it happening and allowed that shift to happen, because even Priest Kailash said, we have it on the retreats page, is that the woman creates her man. Yeah. Based on what she allows. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love the co-creative process of what happens in a relationship. You know, we start just being together. Can we exist together? Can we exist? Can we share silence together? That's where you see where relationships, do they have a fundamental connection? Can we just sit in the silence together and enjoy that space? And then once you get the coexistence, can we co-create?
Yes, truly. It's such a beautiful thing. But I want to go into Shade's story a little bit more about, could you tell like what made you come on the retreat? Where were you at on your way of deciding to come to the retreat? And what were you really working through? What were you really hoping to gain and get from the retreat?
Okay, so it was a very interesting point in my life, as I had been let go from my job that April, and I was living off of my savings, which I thank the universe for allowing me to work 2 jobs at that time to save up so much. And I had just been a little lost and a little in this space where, all right, well, you went to school, you've got these degrees, you're a millennial, you should be like pushing towards something great. And now you're at home, just sitting around. What do you do? And that kind of forced me to change my self-care routine. I started meditating, just randomly started meditating. I started going outside and paying attention to the way the leaves blew in the wind and all of those things. And I just found this like this 0 point, like this real deep connection to myself. And it was so beautiful. And I had remembered seeing a video of you in Saint Lucia, and I said, I'm going to go there. I don't know how, but I'm going to go there and I'm going to meet him. And then a few months later, the vision to start my business happened. And I said, now it feels like it's time for me to soul family. I don't know how I'm going to meet them, but I'm going to meet them. Mm-hmm. And then a few months after that, you posted on Instagram about this retreat. And I was down to the last bit of my savings. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to decide, is this worth the last bit of money I have? And subconsciously, I got the idea to call the bank and ask for a credit card increase. And I just asked for it. And I said, they're going to approve it. I should go higher. I didn't go higher, but I just asked for what I needed. And they did approve it. And I just was like, all right, they approved it. That means it's time to pay for this retreat. Mm-hmm. So I just swiped it and I paid a portion of it off. And I said, this is going to be life-changing. Mm-hmm. I knew without fail, I knew firmly that this is what I needed to do. This is what I asked to do. Mm-hmm. I knew I wanted to go there since February or so. I wanted to connect with people, and I knew that I was going to do that. So I just took that leap of faith, and it created some resistance in my home, because it was like, how are you going away on vacation without a job? It was deemed irresponsible, but I knew that it wasn't about this. It wasn't about my body and the physical aspect of me. It was about me following my heart and knowing that the experience would expand me. And so I went. I went, and I have traveled many places by myself. So I wasn't fearful of that. It was the kind of, all right, you're traveling alone, but you're going to be received by people that you don't know, with the hopes that you're accepted fully. Mm-hmm. And the question of, when have you ever been accepted fully in your life by others? When has that truly ever occurred? And I feel like, because I don't want to say it wasn't a rock bottom for me, but it was a space where I had to become extremely humble from losing my job, to realizing all right, well, what's happening now is timelines are shifting. You're not supposed to work in this environment anymore. And you're supposed to have these experiences that kind of set you up for the next stage of your development and your transition. Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel like all of this was. It was divine timing, because to lose a job, to spend that savings on a new career path that I had no idea about, then to book this trip, and then to meet all of you and Honorable Priest Kailash, and to hear him call me a bushwoman. I was like, what? Just the whole, everything is I'm stepping into my purpose here, and I've always had this knack for words. I've written poetry since 9, and it was the space that we created together, this platform that you guys set for us, was the first time in my 29 years of existence that I was able to just speak from my heart without hesitation and without fear. So it was just perfect. Whatever perfect truly means to me, which is a sense of home and a sense of fearlessness and a sense of peace and joy, all of that embodies perfectness to me. So it's just perfect the way everything worked out. So I'm so thankful.
I'm so happy to have you on, because I experience the same thing, but I can't express it in that same way that you do. The way you expressed it was so beautiful, and give thanks for that. But there's so many things that you touched on there that were so powerful. One was about the following your heart, and you had lost your job, right? You were going off of your savings, and you decided to take credit out to basically follow your dreams and to follow your heart, right? Where did you get that strength? Where did you get that power to know that this is what I have to do and to do it? Because I know there's a lot of people out there who have those same calls, have those same urges, have those same messages coming from their heart, from source. And, you know, they need to muster up that courage, that strength. So I would like to hear a little bit about how you were able to do that.
I don't know. Okay, that's baloney. Of course, I know everything in relation to my path, right? And it's just a part of who I am. I've always been someone that's like, but that doesn't feel right. This feels like the path I should take, so let's take it. And I've always been met with a little contrast from my family because of that. But I have learned that in the times where I use my head and I go forth with, oh, this is what society thinks is appropriate and this is what other people think I should do, I've never been truly happy in those moments. You know, and I've gone through a lot. Like I think back to a time right before graduating undergrad when I hated myself so much. I was like on the cusp of death, like literally seeing self-harm on the way to seeing some white light, and then a voice in my head say, it's not your time. And then I wake up in the hospital with my stomach being pumped and isolated from society for a week to be evaluated to see if I can enter into the world without the need for prescriptions, or if there's more time needed in this facility to kind of like cage me in. And it was in that moment that I realized, I was 22 at the time, at that moment that I realized this is what happens when you don't follow your heart. You betray yourself and you believe that you're completely unworthy of any goodness that comes your way. And I never wanted to feel that way again. So in those 7 years since, I worked really hard to come to understand why my heart speaks to me and why that voice is so soft but so powerful. And in turn, why my own physical voice is so soft and yet very powerful, you know? So it's, as a child, it's very easy for me to do like, oh, that feels right, let's go with that. As adolescents, a little more peer pressure, and that kind of offset some of my connection to self. And, you know, that as you get older, that only shifts more. And then just getting to a space where it's enough. I know I deserve better. I know I should be able to receive more. And I should create a space for that to happen. So this summer was the perfect opportunity for me to do that. I mean, I volunteered at a yoga center. I spent hours walking I live in New York City, so walking from where I live in Williamsburg to Manhattan, like 3, 4, 5 miles, just walking with my iPod tuned, just because I wanted to get out and experience the world and watch people and see them laugh and see them talk and see them interact, and just appreciate the noisy sirens that New York can never silence, you know, like the neighbors downstairs of my apartment building just talking to each other and vibing out, like learning to appreciate all of that, and realizing that I am here at this time in this space for a reason. And what better way to be in that space than by following my heart and doing what truly moves me, regardless of what others think. So it's been a challenge. I'm never going to say it was easy. It took a lot for me to get to this space, and it wasn't like 7 years of upward movement. It was a lot of like up and down, a lot of like, okay, I think I have it figured out, and then, oh wait, but your opinion means so much to me, you know, and a lot of just releasing that until it was my opinion meant so much to me. And at the end of the day, my opinion is what will always mean so much to me. And saying that from a space of love, not like, I don't care what they say. Like, no, I love them, so I care about them. But at the end of the day, my journey can only be a reflection of how I feel about myself and what I feel I deserve. So stepping into that love fully has allowed me to realize that my heart always knows best. Yeah. And my mind is kind of just here to say, oh, this is what you're feeling. Okay, let's create thoughts that support those feelings, as opposed to let's create contrasting thoughts that kind of negate those feelings. Let's not do that anymore. Let's have them sync up and align so that you kind of move through life with a bit more ease.
And Shadae, can I ask you, we all have our own ways of, listening to our heart. And some people, like, I can only go off of what I experience, and I experience a warmth in my heart, a lightness. If it feels heavy or cramped or clogged, I know that's not the way. And I'm wondering, you so in tune to those subtle vibrations with that awareness, sensitive awareness of what's going on in your field. How do you receive the impression of what your heart is saying? How do you listen? How do you listen to your heart?
In the beginning, I want to say around this time last year, it used to be intense heart palpitations. Like I would stop somewhere and I'm like, it was like a signal that some kind of meeting or beautiful exchange was about to happen, which I now realize. But at the moment, it felt like a heart attack. Like my heart was beating so fast. It was so strong. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but I'm vegan. No, like my arteries aren't clogged. What's happening? Why am I feeling this way? And then it was kind of like, oh wait, you're feeling something very strongly. And, my mind is trying to figure out what that is. Right. And then over time, when I was like, oh, this is what this feeling means, the intensity kind of subsided. And it turned from a feeling in my heart to like a really soft voice just in my mind. Like I would say something and then the voice would be like, well, actually, this is how we can go about this. That's a bit more loving and nurturing. Or, ooh, that was more reactive than responsive. Go apologize right now. Or that's not what they intended to do. You have to understand that this is where they are. So don't take it personally. It literally transitioned from feeling it in my heart to like flowing up to my mind and like that voice being very strong and being there always. So it's right now it's kind of like a little, I don't know how to now it feels like it's going from my heart to my mind to my eyes. So I used to be ashamed of crying because I can watch The Lion King and watch Mufasa pass away and I still cry as I did when I was a child. And I can watch anything where someone is crying and overwhelmed with sadness, grief, or they're ecstatic and there are tears of joy, and I can feel that. So now it's gone from my heart to my mind to my physical expression of that through tears. So a lot of the times I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm about to cry, or a tear runs down my face, or it's full blown ugly cry. Please don't watch me. I need to cover my face. So it's been in stages, and it's less. I feel it less in my
actual physical
heart. And now I feel it in my overall being. So it's
in your whole energetic field.
Yeah.
I feel it aligns with the traditional wisdom. Traditional just meaning tradition, just that they say the heart whispers and the mind screams. And so being able to listen to that firm yet gentle presence of our heart is so important. But the mind is usually screaming over it. And until we, can really forge a relationship of listening to our heart, then that relationship becomes unique to each one of us. So I started actually intentionally taking the mind into the heart, and then the heart would come up into the mind as well. And then now it's like in my field. Like I could just feel that energetic field as well. So I give thanks. I just love your expression of it.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. So beautiful. It was the one thing we have this voice coming up, the heart, that loud silence, as Mark likes to say, and it's telling us something, and we wanna follow that, but we have that resistance, whatever it may be. And it's like the question is like, what would happen if you don't feel that? You know what I mean? What would happen if you don't follow that urge, if you don't listen to the heart? And that is what you were saying when you went kind of that downward spiral and you felt like, inflicting harm on yourself, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a really dark time. I mean, I was getting ready to graduate from undergrad. I had just turned 22. Like, it was right after my birthday, right in between the time when finals were happening, right when I had worked so hard to achieve this feat of graduating college because neither of my parents had, and I was accomplishing something so big, and I felt so worthless, and I just I couldn't conceive going on. And at the time, I was in such a loving relationship, a beautiful spirit. Like, he was pouring into me daily, loving me more than I could physically and emotionally and spiritually understand to love myself at the time. And it was like moments like that came up for me at the retreat that I realized were linked to a lot of past occurrences, a lot of things that I kind of like buried, a lot of experience where I'm like, okay, this person, this physical being showed me that I'm not enough, or that I deserve this kind of mistreatment. And I guess that's the truth. But I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just going to eat it. I'm just going to take it because, Black women are so strong. We're super human. We don't cry. We're just stoic, and we don't have time for any of this, like all of that mixed in with, at the core, I'm a very sensitive soul. I'm very, very sensitive, and I need to honor that. But instead of honoring that, I was choosing to be stoic and choosing to be ice cold and choosing to mirror more toxic masculinity than soft, subtle, and divine femininity. And that led me to a place of truly believing I was not enough. And that came up in so many instances. And I literally attracted those experiences 1,000 times over, it felt like. Just getting into this deep wave of sadness and just feeling those ocean waves knock me back until I was completely drowning. And then I had to stand up and say, wait, this is not the ocean. This is a bathtub. I can get out of this. I can stand up. The water is not that deep. I don't have to experience that. And for the 7 years since, it was a journey of figuring that out. And then choosing to love me has led to a lot. And I feel like choosing to love me led to me choosing to go on the retreat and choosing to open myself up to all of the words that the men on the trip had, because that was also very hard for me at first, because I'm trying to understand, like, well, what does a man know about my experience? And when has a man ever created space for me to just be without doing it so that he could have something of mine or have a piece of me for himself? When has it ever been genuine? When have they ever come to me out of a space of love? And like those contrasting thoughts in my head, and at the same time truly diving into the experience and allowing myself to receive, which was, I will admit, was terrifying and easy at the same time. That sounds contradictory, but it was like, okay, well, how am I supposed to receive something from you? You've never shown up for me in that way. But also realizing that the men on the retreat were not, some of the men, I can't say all of the men I've come into contact with, that was not you or anyone else. It was love genuinely. And realizing in my mind that this is what you asked for. Like when you were 5, you asked for this. When you were 22 and didn't want to be here, you were really asking for this, for like to see a man come into a space and say, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to take anything from you. I don't need to touch you. I don't need to do anything. I just want to exist with you. I just want to be silent with you. I just want to create a space that's loving and nurturing for you so that together we can move to the next plateau. You know, so it was a lot. A lot of beautiful healing, a lot of nourishment for myself at various stages. Because that's what I brought. You always bring that with you. The little child that you are, you know, the teenager, the young adult, and wherever you are currently, you always bring those modes of emotions with you wherever you go, and kind of like, okay, child, I can hug you and I can release you. You're safe now. I don't have to hold on to you. Like, okay, preteen, no, this is not what life is supposed to be like. That was rough, but you survived and you've healed from that, and so on and so forth, till it's just you and your current mode and the present tense. And you're like, oh, okay, this is the peace and the calm that I knew always existed.
Yeah, you know, I love how you said that just at the end, that I knew always existed, because for me growing up, I felt like I could be around women, I could be around girls and just connect with them, and we could just grow, and we could, like, I felt like, I don't know how I had this as a young man, but I felt like just having the energy of women around me just helped uplift me. It helped bring me to another level. I didn't know anything at that time, but just how I felt. But then what happened was everything around me was saying different. The women were calling me gay because I weren't trying to make any moves on them sexually. Men were saying, yo, you're a pussy, whatever it may be. And just like my whole upbringing was reinforcing, no, that can't happen. No, men and women are only meant to be together sexually, and don't even try to connect on any deeper level, right? And that was something that for me, it was hard for me to accept, and I couldn't accept it. Like, I just couldn't accept it. So I had to go through that resistance growing up of like, I know this isn't right, but I don't know what to do about this. You know, I don't know, how can I, like, what do I do, right? So, you know, now that I'm in these spaces, and now that I have Dora, my Empress, and we're working together, it's like, it's such an honor to me to be able to host the event, host the retreat, because it's like bringing to life something that I had in me my whole life, but I just wasn't able to really experience it in form. When we come together, the men and the women, and we come together and we're, you know, bouncing off each other and building each other up, and just to see how we're able to hold space for each other, and how we're able, like, I'm able to recognize the feminine energy in myself, and I'm able to honor that in myself and utilize that to help me connect with the divine feminine. And yes, it was such an honor and such a beautiful thing for me to see and to hear from you, to verify and confirm that, you know, this is something, this is real. You know, this is something that we got to look to do more of. You know, we have a lot of women group and a lot of men's groups, but I feel like, you know, we can come together. We can really come together and do the work together. Not all of it, of course, you know, but we can come together and do the work together. And that's going to be a very important, essential part of our healing. And for us to accept the whole aspect of ourselves. Like, I feel when I'm able to accept my feminine energy, when I'm able to accept the energy of the women around me and notice that I have that feminine energy in me, it allows me to be at harmony within myself. And I'm not like, I'm pushing down parts of myself, trying to make myself feel like more of a man. Like, I don't have to do that anymore. And now I could be more at ease. I can be more in the flow. I can listen to my heart more, because this ego, this man isn't here saying like, oh no, don't do that, man. That's going to make you look soft. Oh no, don't do that, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's amazing to hear you say that and to experience that as we experienced it. And I feel that's such a important aspect. And another thing I wanted to touch on is how you were saying that how can I let this man listen to this man when I had my life? This is, why now? Like, what's the difference now? And this is something that I noticed in my own relationship. And just for, as we're interacting with people, we got to realize, like, for me, I recognize the woman has gone through a lot in her life. So for me to try to console my empress, to try to be nice and sweet to her, saying, what I think is going to make her feel better, her whole life, that has led to hurt. That has led to pain. That has led to loneliness. And so when she doesn't accept that from me initially, I don't take it personally. I'm just learning to recognize that there's things that work and we work through it together if we're just aware of the bigger picture of how we were raised up. And it's not to be taken personally, and to love her to life, to love her back to being able to feel something that's genuine, to be able to feel something that's real. So then, I know that with my empress now, with Dora, she's now able to just be more in her flow. Like, she's like not tense, like holding on all the time. And when you could just release, it's like the amount of growth that we were able to make together was astronomical. And I feel that was what had happened on the retreat as well. We all came together, and at first we were a little tense, holding on, not too sure how this is gonna work. But then we were all came together, and we're all able to release and to be able to speak freely, to speak from the heart. And as you said, it's the first time in 29 years when you're able to speak from the heart. So yeah, it's powerful. It was so amazing. That was such an amazing experience for me on that journey.
I've been trying to replicate that experience in so many ways since coming home. And I realized that was like a foundation for what's to come, like a vision of what's going to happen. Because I feel like I live, living in America, there's such an uproar and such the acknowledgement of toxic masculinity is coming to the surface. And people are either actively or inactively making choices about it and taking action, but it's acknowledged. And I feel like the first time ever in history, we're getting back to a space where people are like, there needs to be a balance. Like, there's nothing wrong with being masculine, but does it require like the club and like hitting the woman over the head and throwing her over the shoulder? Like, in this, like, is it derogatory, or can it be just as nurturing and loving as the energy that the woman exudes? Can it, can the woman be just as strong as the man, like filling in those holes, right? Like, I'm not a woman, so I'm not a woman. I'm not a man, so I cannot be a man, but there are certain attributes of a man that I can mirror, and vice versa. And it goes beyond our anatomy and our organs, and the fact that I was born into a female body and you guys were born into a male body. It's so much deeper than that. And I feel like on the surface level, sometimes we're kind of shoved into these experiences where it's so toxic, and toxic femininity, I think, is over-sexualized. Like, a woman, she's over-sexualized for the enjoyment of others. Not necessarily because she's in tune with her essence and wants to dress that way, but because it brings an appeal, So I feel like collectively, a lot of people are just like, hey, I noticed this and I want to change. I want something more. And that starts with looking in the mirror and saying, well, to get more, I have to know that I deserve more, and I have to let go of the things that I feel no longer serve me. And since coming home from the trip, there's been a lot of release, a lot of stagnation, a lot of fear, a lot of, I've been moving forward in a lot of ways very slowly, like inching, 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 inching. And then there's also been the moments where I've had enough. I can't do anything but watch TV and then go to bed. And then the next day I might repeat that. And then the third day I might say, nope, I need to meditate for 15 minutes. I need to draw this bubble bath. I need to do all of these things. And coming to realize that there's still a balance in this, and there's a way to merge my understanding of living physically in the 3D and being a vessel for spirituality and connectedness to that 0 point that I spoke about before. So just really understanding that you are the creator of your experiences, and you don't necessarily have to hold on to your comfort zone, because that's where stagnation sets in, and we get very comfortable in that space. And it's just been this kind of balance of, hey, I could watch TV for 4 or 5 hours. And that's, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But am I doing it mindlessly? Like, what is this TV show offering me? So I've just even been more aware of, like, I see old images of myself popping up in some of the TV shows. I love Ratchet TV Mondays on VH1. So, like, there's no shame in my game in admitting that. But, like, what are these women and men reflecting back to me culturally for the people that look like me? And what are they reflecting back to me at large for society, and where we still need to grow, and where I still need to grow, and where I still need to heal? And why am I triggered by this? And why am I reactive towards this? And what part of me still needs healing and nurturing, and giving into that, and honoring both the divine masculine and feminine within. So it's just been like a balance of trying to figure out, not just through words and, saying, I can speak endlessly. I'm like a teacher, so words just kind of flow, and that deep understanding of self kind of flows because of my profession. You have to be self-reflective to be a teacher. That's what we're taught in our textbooks. I'm naturally like that, so it's doubled up for me. But just understanding that where I want to be, I will get there. But like right now, while I'm releasing and purging and letting go and noticing the toxicity that was once fully in my aura is like lifting. And where it may have been at 100% toxic, it's dropped down to maybe 18%. And those small triggers are slowly lifting. Those small nasty responses and things like that, or those judgments for other people, how that was really a judgment of myself, and learning like, oh, this is why I was projecting this on that person, or this is why this person is projecting that on me, and yeah.
This message is so important. This message is so important. Healing of the toxic masculine and toxic feminine to embody the divine masculine, the divine feminine. It's so important that we recognize these aspects within ourselves and see where energy is blocked. Energy wants to flow, needs to flow, and wherever it's blocked, that's where stagnation and dis-ease begins to grow. So this force, I see it as we talk about our relationships and our relations as man to woman and as woman to man. This is inherently the sexual energy, the energy of man. I call it the aloma, the electromagnetic force between man and woman. And so it's also called the Shakti, right? The Shakti force. And so that Shakti energy is embodied in woman. And she has so much Shakti just stepping into the room. And a less than honorable man would lose his discipline, and lose his sense of clarity and recognizing that we all come from the same source, that we all come from the same space. So this healing work is deep. And we got to have compassion for ourselves along the path. And that's what I hear as you speak, Shade, is like, there's this, I'm going through it. I'm forgive myself. I'll go hard, and then I know when I need to rest and also reflect. There's no need to rush into something that's not entirely clear where it's going. Because as soon as we pump energy through something, the whole reality starts shifting, and we just want to be clear about where we're going. So this is a sexual conversation, being able to recognize that when man and woman can exist in the same space with each other, honor their presence, honor what they're bringing, and then feeling that sexual energy, but not feeling like you need to act on it with physical contact, to actually sit on that energy and allow it to inspire you into some other form of co-creative action, whether it's singing, whether it's dancing, whether it's moving, where it's inspiration of thought, of idea, elevated idea, all of these ways in which the sexual force, it is the most primal and powerful desire, the urge to action is the sexual force. And so, it makes sense that that's where a lot of our trauma exists, because whenever you have more power, you have more responsibility. So with that sexual force, it takes a lot of responsibility to keep it in alignment, in balance. I hear you mention balance twice, and that's very important, because it needs to be this. You can go through the process of healing the sexual force. Like as a man, you can go through the purging and the circulating and the healing of your sexual energy. And personally, what ended up happening for me was I needed to abstain from sex for a while. Like I just needed to step back and get out of that whole realm of relationship of things altogether. But then with that and I went as far as like I had to unfollow every woman on Instagram, on social media, on Facebook that was any type of expressive of the physical embodiment of the goddess, So like I just needed to step back, and not saying that anything is wrong about that. That was just where I was. Like I couldn't allow my mind to go too far into that. So I just unfollowed all of them, cleaned up my feed, and only put curated conscious content, so to speak, So but then once I abstain, that doesn't mean sexual energy goes anywhere. You could try to impel the force, but it's still coming through. So now if you're still resisting it, you still have a block. So how do we allow ourselves to just receive it? And I actually had this phenomena happen where, if we're familiar with the chakra system, right? So we have our root, we have these energetic centers existing at various levels within our spine, within our body. And well, actually all throughout our body, not just our spine. But I had a block in my sacral. Every single time, and I used to live in New York City, so every single time I saw a woman that I had any type of thought, the slightest idea of I want to do something with her, sexually, physically, immediately energy would flow through my sacral, and then doom, doom, doom. It was stuck. It's like I couldn't allow myself to just enjoy that feeling. It's shame. It's a feeling of you want her, can't have her also. So there's that feeling going on too. So the sacral region is a creation space. And when it's blocked, we call that unfulfilled desires. So we have all these desires. You see another woman, you see another one, you see another one, and none of them actually get acted out upon. A desire saying I want something means I don't have it. So get beyond the whole desiring thing and just get into the experience. So if you want to go talk to her, man. But just for the experience of being present. Like if you're being genuinely, like we shouldn't demonize attraction. Attraction is beautiful. We're all attracted here together. This is what brings us to this call. What brings us to this space. What brings us to this video. You saw our faces, you felt our energy, and then there was an attraction. And then we show up in this moment together. And that attraction can be more and more tangible. It's just that you can't jump into the ocean of energy without your ship, leak proof. You can't just be going in there head first. So with all that being said, the way I healed that, just to close that story up, like put a nice completion to it, was that I was speaking to my sister Evelyn Guerra. I was like, yeah, this thing been happening for like 8 months now. I don't know what's going on. And she was like, well, did you ever ask it what it wants? I was like, what you mean? I was like, I mean, I would tell tell my sacral, and really we're talking about my penis at this point. Like, what did you ask it what it wants? And I'll be like, nah, I would just send it love, you know, be like, love you, you know, love, love, love. But I never thought, hey, what do you want? What do you want? You know, it's a creation force, and it's more than the mental, it's the mental conception. It's this knowing, knowing. And so I was like, yeah, let me do that. And she told me unfulfilled desires as well, that when her boyfriend, actually, they weren't together at the time, but when he stopped wanting so many other things and just focused on her and brought being together with her to completion, he had that same blockage and it released and went away. So I go ahead and I tune in meditation. I'm like, okay, let me get into my space, get into my heart. Okay. And then I drop into my sacral. I just direct my awareness down, breathe. And in my inner space, I just ask, what do you want? And would you believe, immediately vision opens up. Everything's orange filtered lens. And I just see a road and we're driving. It's just a road in the desert, rocks, mountains, and we're just driving. Everything's orange filter lens. And I'm like, yo, you want to travel? You want to travel? Okay. I thought it would be something like, you know, you want to be with someone, you want to, it's not like that. It's just desire. It's something that wants to be brought to completion. All these things that aren't being brought to completion, it brings frustration. So the sacral healing is largely about bringing what is, and it's beyond a mental desire. It's like what you're here for. You're here to experience something, and energy is flowing through you as a vessel from the source of creation. And it's saying, like, let this experience flow through you, and you're resisting it for whatever reason. Let it flow, and your sacral's getting backed up just to let you know where you're holding. So it was powerful. So 2018, I ended up going to Sedona, Arizona, then Peru, the Andes Mountains for 2 weeks. Then we went to, man, where did we go after that? Then we went to Sedona again and Flagstaff and seeing the Grand Canyon, or the Antelope Canyon, excuse me. Then we went to Saint Lucia. Then we went to Colombia, to the Sierra Nevada mountains. Then we went to Alberta, Canada. We just had a couples retreat and out in Bragg Creek in Alberta, Canada. We saw the Rocky Mountains. So it's been a year of travel. Like, I just gave that, and that has gone away. Like, now if something comes through that's sexual energy, a woman in my presence, I don't judge myself. I allow it to pass through, and I just enjoy her presence, because I'm like, wow, give thanks, man. Like, that's amazing to be able to feel something like that just from the presence. Like, that's what motivates us. That's what moves us, that force.
And you know, both of you touched on this about the no judgment, you know, about that no judgment and having like the intentionality into doing the work, right? I feel like when you bring that judgment up and you stop yourself from feeling, because you're saying, no, I shouldn't feel this. No, I don't want to feel this. No. You're not allowing. Yeah, exactly. You put a wall up and you just don't allow that experience to happen, and then you don't allow the experience, the release to happen. You don't allow all the expansion and growth, or whatever it is that's supposed to be coming to you through this. You don't allow it to happen because you're judging yourself, right? So I feel that's so powerful. Both of you on that judgment, just asking yourself, like Shadae asked herself, like, why am I doing this? Like with the TV, like, what is this bringing to me? Right. So we could always do that in every situation.
But with non-judgment, with lightness, right?
With
Ask
non-judgment.
those questions, but like with that tone of not the tone of, what is this bringing you? Why are you really doing, like, not that kind of essence. It's just like this observer, just like, hey, so what are you getting from this? You know? And then actually really being receptive, like there might be a real answer, like, okay, tell me what you're getting from this. You know, because that we can't just gloss over the non-judgment. It is central. It is central to the path, Because every time we put a wall up, we put up division. Every time we put a divide up, we're getting further away from the truth. With more and more division, we can't see the whole thing for what it is.
Yeah, truly, truly. And we got to let that flow. And we got to be able to have that judgment, allow it to flow. And I feel that leads to one of the themes I would say about the retreat is about us being unapologetically us, like be unapologetically you, or self first or selfish. Like think about what you're doing, right? So throughout the retreat, a lot of the times it was like we had our structure, but we also allowed yourself first nature to do what you got to do, right? So Shadae, you know, if you want to go move around, go down, explore the mountains, you know, you go do that. But it's just allowing yourself to be at the forefront and to know what is it that I want. And if you do something for yourself, to not feel the need to justify it to someone else, to not feel the need to justify it to yourself, to just and just to trust yourself and those urges and those feelings that are coming up.
That's so important that you put yourself first. And it isn't like, oh, well, F them or forget about them. That's why I'm doing me, you know, like that, that tone and that energy isn't nurturing and it isn't loving. It's full of fear and anger, you know, but it's the desire to say, okay, well, what do I need in this moment to feel joy, to be at peace? And in the retreat, I was connecting a lot with everyone, but at the same time, there were so many moments when I was like, all right, I need to be by myself. I need to nap. And, you know, I know when it's time to go with the group that they'll be there and available when I need them. And then there'll be times when, no, I need to nap for like 4 hours. And like, that's okay to pull away physically, but more so to allow my physical body to rest because we've just done so much. And I just need everything to kind of recalibrate. I need everything to feel in alignment and to be centered. You know, like there was a point when I had napped and I was like, oh, the moon is out and it's dark. I'm a night owl. I was born in the evening time. I just love being out when it's dark. And everyone was sitting on the porch and I was like, this is cool, but I'm going to go moonbathe. So I like went down there, I disrobed and like my feet were in the mud and I was there by myself. And it was like one of the first times when I felt truly connected to everyone's essence, but I was physically, I don't know, several feet away from everyone. Like my feet were just deep into the mud and the moon was just glistening onto my body. And it was like having a moment with the moon by myself and just speaking affirmations, telling myself how much I love myself, how much I appreciated the group, and I appreciated the energy that they were sending me subconsciously. Because I felt everyone there. I felt everyone. I felt the trees. You know, I felt everything in that moment. But I was physically detached from the group, and it was such a beautiful moment, and it was such a necessary moment because even during the retreat, I thought, okay, well, I have everyone here for 8 days to experience them for 8 days. But it's so important that I take these tools and I implement them on my own. So then when we physically separate, like we were separated for so many years before this moment when we met, I can instill these tools and I can be okay. And I can enhance this journey, you know? So it was such a profound moment for me to be able to say, okay, this group is amazing. And I'm taking so much from these conversations. Now let's have a personal ritual, a ritual with just myself, where I can always go back to that one moment where I was by myself and the times when I'm by myself now and you guys are at a distance and I can say, well, what was the purpose of that? Then how does that relate back to the group? And how does that relate back to the larger communal aspect of this journey? And just pushing forward to continue to attract more like-minded people and experiences into my vortex. So
and it's so important that you know that and you know how to act on that. That you know what you want, you know what you need, because we can feel intuitively, but we can't know everything. We can't know all the thoughts, the emotions, every experience from your perspective that led up to this certain vibrational state. But you do, you know. So we all, it's important, like when we're all together, that every person is responsible for their vibration they bring to the group, right? And it's so amazing to say, like, hey, you feeling good? And they're like, yeah. And you know, that's it. Like, yeah, it's true, you know. But when you feel someone like there's still something in there, now we gotta, okay, come on, come on, I know. You know, I know, because then it just helps with everyone being clear. So just imagine a society where everybody can feel safe enough to do exactly what they need to do in the moment they need to, you know. So we create those little communities like that, because I know exactly what you mean. Like, I need to move. I'm the type of person that I like to move through spaces. So you can come with me, but I just need to experience a lot of different things, even if we're just like on that little porch, on that deck. Like, I need to be inside the bedroom, then on the deck, then change my chair, then maybe look out over the banister, like, and I just like to move. But if I do remember a younger time where I was like, kind of felt like I would be separate if I was going to do my own thing. But when I'm comfortable, then other people can feel more comfortable. We all get into our space of comfort.
Yeah, so true. I lived in Colombia for a year. And in Colombia, if I were to ever eat lunch alone, they'd always come to me like, are you okay? Like, are you sad? Are you like depressed? Because it's such a, like, you have to be with someone or they think something's wrong. But I'm like, no, I'm happy. I'm happy being alone. I love this. I'm so comfortable. I enjoy it so much. So please don't sit here. But it was a lesson. But one thing with regards to the retreat is that moving in, as we were going into the retreat, one of the intentions that we had, it wasn't for us to take you somewhere, for us to be your hero and to show you the way, right? It was the intention for us to just be guides, to just be there as your counterparts. And we're just your guide, and you're also our guide. And we're all here working and healing together to come right within, and we're working on ourselves. So we didn't want it to have it so it's any way where you're relying on Saint Lucia, you're relying on the cleanse, you're relying on the people. No, like the goal, the intention to behind the retreat is that you leave going through the journey yourself. Like, you've went through the journey yourself, you've done the work yourself, and you're working on integrating it back into your daily life, which is why I had a problem even calling retreat, because it's like, we're not trying to retreat from nothing. There's not like we're trying to run from anything, but then it's like, you could say we're retreating within. We're retreating within, and we're going within into to really, configure our consciousness, configure our minds to be where we want to be. And so we could be centered, we can be balanced, and we could be at that highest frequency, that best feeling in any moment. And through the ups and downs, whether even if you're down here, you're able to tap into that feeling and to feel that you're in that low space, but to know that this is a part of the work and this is how I'm gonna take myself to that next level. So, it's a huge thing for us to do that work ourselves.
On never retreating within that thread, I would love to just pluck that string a little more.
Let's do it.
And we had I would love to hear, Shadae, if you remember any notable experiences from any of the mindfulness practices, whether it was like the 5 a.m. meditation or the Sulphur Springs meditations or the shamanic breathwork experience, or just the fundamentals of breathing. If there were any, if you remember any notable experiences from any of those practices.
I think about the 5 a.m. breath work, getting up communally, and my initial like, oh, it's so early. Like, I'm not a morning person, but it's kind of dark, but we're doing something collectively. But the struggle I had with like silencing my mind, and I think it was more so about like, okay, I've been meditating by myself, and now I have to trust the whole group. Like, we're going to do this together. It's going to be something that, like, when the person to my left and my right takes a breath and they let their energy come up and beam out, I will be able to feel that. And, you know, to just have that trust and the experience that I will gain so much. And it's not necessarily the community, it's a self-reflection, but it's not necessarily a self-reflection, it's a community effort. Like that they're both in sync, like that's both necessary. And to kind of quiet my mind in, well, this isn't something that I've done before, but it's what I need in this moment. You know, so to not resist this aspect, because the physical, like that was easy for me to do, but like the really quieting the mind and really tuning into the self at any given moment, like just being prepared at any given moment to tune into self, that was initially challenging. But I appreciated the contrast that it brought up so much, because it's contrast that I feel now that I'm like, do you remember when you let yourself go? When you just was like, can you just feel the air? You just feel the energy coming up through you, releasing, and then taking more in, and then releasing. How therapeutic was that? Like just the serenity that it offered, and to understand that, you know, sometimes the initiating a new habit can be challenging, but to meet that with gratitude, which I did meet initially, you know, that's just, I wasn't in that space at that time. But then midway through it, it's like, but this is why you got up at 5, so you could feel that, so that this piece could settle over you, so that you could see the sunrise, so that you could appreciate your surroundings even more. This is why you got up before the sun. This is why you're here with this group. This is why Mark is telling you to do this. This is why it's so important to feel it from your belly. You know, all of this, all of those intricacies are so important to the grander picture, you know, and what you're trying to accomplish, you know. And it was very, very beautiful to have those like internal contrast, and then just to say like, oh, this is what love feels like. This is like the mind fighting the heart, and I want to love myself more. I want to be more aware. I want to be more present. And then your mind is like, yeah, but I'm tired. Yeah, but yeah, but your heart is like, okay, but when is it going to change? Like, you have to step into the action for it to actually change, you know. And it was just that the fact that was able to happen. I was able to see it, and in moments when like my concentration broke, to be able to open my eyes and see everyone taking a deep breath and say, this is the peace that you've always wanted. Tune into that. It's available to you, and you deserve that. You know, in that moment where my mind was like, oh, okay, so I don't need to be on the attack. I can, you know, I can just be. You know, it was so much easier to accept. And the springs were beautiful. I love bathing. So it was, and I love, I don't know if it's a woman thing, I love hot water.
Oh no, I love hot water too. I need to
like that scorch, I don't know what it is. Like that scorching feeling of the heat, but I feel like it's searing things off of you. It's removing things from you. That's why I love the hot water so much. And I just felt like, this is messy, and this is, and then you might feel a little silly with smudging things on you in front of people, like being in your bathing suit in front of people, depending on how you feel about your, you know, your body. And this is so intimate, and this is so sensual and not sensual at the same time, you know? So it was intense. And then like laying on the floor with everyone and being so tuned into someone's pain that they're releasing, and then tuned into my own purging, you know, and then just to just to go through those motions of, you have to release this. You cannot hold on to it. You've held on to it for too many years. Let it go. And to feel that resistance come up, and to understand it's more so the comfort in the traumatic experience that has happened, and holding on to that because that's what you know, and that's that survival mode is what's pushed you through. But now is the opportunity to let it go and to step into, again, the peace that you say that you want in your life. So it was a lot of emotions constantly changing and going from acceptance to resistance. To deep gratitude, to deep rage, to everything. And it was just like, oh, these are wounds that you slightly paid attention to. You might have put a Band-Aid on, but the cut is still there, you know, so you've never truly healed it. And now through this breathing work, you get to heal it, and you get to send that part of you love, and understanding how important that is, you know. And it's something it is, and it's something I'm working to incorporate more often, just silencing my mind, because I tend to be one with a hamster wheel in my head. It just, the ideas keep going, and the hamster never gets tired.
Never.
It never gets tired. And then it's just kind of like, but there's a space for tranquility, and there's a space for quieting the mind, and like that is what taps you into source so much, that just quiet the mind, because the message will be so loud then. But then when your mind is not quiet, it's so hard for you to get that message, you know, that you aren't in a space to receive it. You're kind of like, well, what is that thought that I got that I'm not sure about? But when you silence your mind, it's kind of like, oh, this is what I should do. I'll go do that right now. You know, it's instant.
And I love that you touched on many threads that are so important. And I love the inner contrast, the sensuality and the non-sensuality at the same time, such the paradox of experience. And being in the same group and being able to feel what people are bringing up, it's like gaseous release. And you can feel what kind of emissions are coming off as the breath creates this combustion reaction within someone as they breathe it through. You feel those gaseous emissions. And so it's so important that you bring that up, because it's something that I've recognized in holding meditation spaces for groups, is that we got to move that energy, move it up, 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 keep it moving, because, and we had nature supporting us, which was beautiful as well. Like nature was lovingly receiving, gratefully receiving that energy, heartily receiving that energy. Like we know exactly what to do with that. You know, we're going to put it in its place. But I love the, what you said about the practice of us meditating together. It just reminded me of the earnestness, like how everyone showed up and was really, you know, bringing their best self forward, showing up to the moment. And that meditation is self-care, self-love. It reminds me of what Priest said, discipline is love. He said, discipline is love. And I'm like, And I'll just add to that, discipline is self-love, but you know, it's still love. But thank you. You know, thank you for sharing these potent perceptions, always potent insights. And I'm thankful that you're able to receive that level of experience, because it's a deeper, more felt, more, even in the intangibles, is so vivid. You know, and when we have this, it's important you mentioned the inner contrast, because I teach that on the other side of resistance is always bliss and waiting. So on the other side of whatever you're experiencing, no matter how thick that membrane of the experience feels, as soon as you pop out on the other side, it's just bliss waiting for you. Meditation does teach us that. Once you go beyond one thought and one emotion, and you start realizing, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions either. I am not my body, I'm not my mind. And then you can think. Thoughts can come through, but you're not identifying with them. You're more like the sky that holds the weather. So when that occurs, then there's an expansiveness that feels so light and releasing, and an ability to, I call it the quantum bliss processor, you know, because once we go from the state of being, we're being tasked at this 2019 venture, this junction, we're being tasked with being exceptional beings and exceptional doers at the same time. So this way of going deep into the being practice and then making sure that your awareness of being does not stop when you start doing, such a powerful, and it's what we've been tasked with. It's the mantle of responsibility that we wear at this time, especially when we hold space for others, you know. So I know we're up to the task, you know. We're here for it, and we're showing up, and we're doing amazing. But again, I just want to thank you again for sharing your experience, because those inner experiences are so personal and so rich to be shared, because everyone's perspective adds another piece to the puzzle, and then we get a greater picture of what's going on.
Oh my goodness, tears welling up in my eyes again. I just am so grateful, because you know, it just dawned on me what was happening, why I was so resistant, is because it's again that inner child listening to the voice of a man, and coming up for the healing, and knowing the sexual traumas and abuse that I endured from 9 to 23, like how that constantly came up, and how it was such a challenge, because it was, oh, but I put it behind me. And I didn't necessarily put it behind me. I just stuffed it into a part of my brain. I've compartmentalized it and said, this is a box that you don't open until you're in an experience where you're with a loved one and you're engaging in an act, and you're kind of like, oh shit, this feels like that trauma again, you know. And that whole year, that's what I was working to release, forgiving the first time that I had been abused, then the other times when I thought that's all I deserved, so that's all I attracted was abuse. And also, I just want to say that not every single man that I dated or every experience was like that, but there was so much of it, so much emotional and physical going on, that was coming to the surface. And that was so hard for me to wrap my mind on. Well, I thought I forgave them. I thought I forgave myself. And it was like, well, no, you didn't. You still need to pour more love into this. You still need to create space where you don't hear a man speak and you're like, what the fuck is he talking about? He doesn't know, you know what I mean? And it was like really that much resistance. And it was like, but Akeem, like, they're not here to do that, you know. And this is your opportunity with everyone, every man in this retreat, to heal a part of, I don't want to say that baggage, but those past experiences, to truly rip the Band-Aid off and say, new skin here. You know, those scars I don't want to say they don't exist, but they don't take prevalence over where I am right now, in the space that I'm standing in, knowing that I truly am enough, that I am loved, and not because someone else tells me that they love me, but because I love myself. And I poured that love into myself in a very tangible way that my humanness can understand, see, and feel, you know? So it's, and I just, so many tears, but I caught it. I caught it. No ugly crying on camera, but like, just thank you so much, you know, because it's a part of me that I've wanted to heal, but I do recognize that I can only do so much as a divine feminine. Like, I can only do so much without the masculine holding space and creating the platform for that to be heard without judgment, you know? So, and to genuinely pour into someone else. And it is sensual, because I mean, we're humans, but we're animals too. Like, that's just, it's our nature. But to create space in the heart for each other, and to know that, like, when I leave this call, you guys are a part of me forever, and I am a part of you forever. And that's what this retreat is, just taking us back to the point where we're here to show love. We're here to express love. We're here to create safe spaces. And we've kind of been programmed to believe, well, no, fuck you and da-da-da, and I don't like you, and you can go, you know, whatever, you know. But no, it's not like that. It's like, I love you, and I love you, and I love all those that are listening, and all those that are considering doing this retreat, because in your mind, I know you've come to this space where I deserve it. And you do deserve it. You do deserve to be in a space with people that love you just off of you being you, not speaking to you, just you being you. Your essence is enough for someone to love you. They don't need to know your backstory. They just need to know that you showed up. And that's enough for them to love you, you know, and that's what this retreat, with the healing, with everything, it was, you know, something that I will remember for eons, you know, like lifetimes upon lifetimes upon lifetimes. And it's not putting my faith back in humanity, because I've never lost it, but it's just showing me that this is what we're moving towards. It isn't just this one retreat, this one 8-day experience with these people. That no, this is, I walked away from that. Now I can create that in my physical reality with my family, with my friends. And if I need to walk away from someone, then I need to walk away. But those people that are meant to come to me will. And it will always be love. And we can always shoot for love. We can always expect love in exchanges, you know? So
it's a frequency we can find in every situation.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, and beautifully, so eloquently, and just with so much feeling behind it. And I give thanks for knowing you and just connecting with you, like crossing paths with you. I knew from the very first time we connected on a phone call before the retreat even happened, I was just like, she's powerful. Like, you know, I felt that energy. I felt that resonance. So, you know, I'm grateful to have connected with you in the physical, in the flesh, and to have gone through that experience with you. It's such an honor. And, but at this time, I just want to let anyone know, anyone who's listening in right now, the retreat is happening May 11th to 19th. And it's happening in Saint Lucia on Mount Kailash Rejuvenation Center. It's a 100% sustainable rejuvenation center where we have all the herbs, all the food, everything is grown on the land. And it is dedicated. This is our retreat center. This is our rejuvenation center. It's not like there's a bunch of activities, really like a family vibe, a really wholesome, connected community vibe, if you couldn't tell just from the stories so far. And, you know, we would love to have anyone who feels called to come on this journey. You could reach out to either Mark or myself through email or hit us up on Instagram through the DMs, and we'll reach out and we'll have a call and we'll go over anything that you may want to experience. We love to speak before the retreat to know what your intentions are. Because when we go into this journey, we're not just going into, okay, we got 10 people. No, we're going into it knowing we got Shadae, and Shade's here. We got, you know, Spencer's here. So we would love to communicate with you. We would love to talk with you before we go on this journey. So reach out to either Mark or myself, and, you know, we'll see it. We'll see what goes on. We'll help you along on that process. And also, as a thank you for listening and for tuning in, and just for all the support and love and energy that you have all put into, you know, listening to us here today, we would like to extend the early bird offer to you. So that means $500 off of the current price of the retreat. We're going to take that off for you, so you get that early bird pricing. And that's just a thank you for tuning in, and, you know, for being a part of this co-creation, this what we're creating here, and knowing that every minute that you spend with us, sharing with us, you're creating something with us. And we don't take that lightly. Like, it's such an honor to be here and to share this space with you all. So I'm grateful for you all. And, you know, we're here to talk with you. We're here to connect with you. We have Shade's information. We're going to put it all into the comments, but reach out to us, you know, connect with us. I'm so happy to be able to share Shade's story because it's so powerful. So, you know, Shadae, you cool with them messaging you and, you know, talking to you a little bit?
I mean, yes, my Instagram is public, guys. So you know, talk to me. I'm open to it. I feel like there are two people in particular, like a man and a woman watching this, that are not sure about the financial aspect of the trip. And my words to you are, speak it into existence, write it on your calendar that you are going, and write why you feel pulled to this experience. Because if you think that this is your reality and that this trip is for you, then it's for you and you should go. And this is like no gimmick, like legit. My voice is like, say it, say it, say it, say it. So you can go, you can afford this. This is an investment. It's an investment in the self, you know, so do it. It's just as important as the food that you eat and the water that you drink and that you wash away the day with, you know. So go for it, guys. It is soul changing, not life changing, it's soul changing. So thank you guys for creating the space, and everyone, thank you for listening. And yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm open to whatever you want to share.
I love that. Could you say that one more time to the two people listening, just in case they kind of tuned out?
Yeah, so I feel like there's a man and a woman. I like the number 35 is jumping in my head. I don't know if that's someone's age, but I feel like you're looking at this like, oh, I wanted to go the last time so bad and I did it. And whatever in your life, whether it's your work wage, you reach out, speak about an installment plan, speak about how you can truly get on this wave because you want it so bad. And don't always say like, oh, I never have money, because the truth is, once you say that, you will never have the money. But once you say, the experiences that I need for my soul to grow and to nourish my spirit always present themselves and I receive them, it's different. So just think about the way that you speak about your money. Act as if this trip is yours to have. Know it. Don't believe it. Know it. Believing is done. Knowing is it. So know that it is yours and it is your right to experience this and go forth and purchase. Purchase it. So
I'm feeling this so much, sister. Like my heart is jumping out the thing. Like
you know, the thing is with Shadae, like Shadae just messages me what I feel is random, but it's definitely from a call from her soul. She just messages me and she'll just be like, I feel this. And she'll be like, go for it. And, you know, I really, I take your word, Shadae, so powerful, because I just, you know, I really feel what you're saying and what you're doing. So, you know, I love how you brought that up here today. We didn't ask nothing. We didn't say, Shadae, do this. We didn't say, like, this is straight Shadae and her power. Like, no, I got to say this. I got to let the people know. I was going to say, like, to leave the people with something, but I feel like like you did an amazing job on that.
We also have the free 6-day meditation course too for people that feel like, you know, another gift for people.
Yeah, so we have the meditation course, but before we get into that, we can explain that a little bit further. But you could, oh yeah, if you have any questions, just write that into the box right now because we're about to wrap up. So if you have any questions you'd like to get answered right now, then you can answer that. You could get that answered. And then Mark also has a free 6-day meditation course to get you into the flow of your meditation. And I put the link into the description, and I'll put it again. And I'll just let Mark kind of explain a little bit about what that's about.
Yeah, for sure. It's centered on a healing perspective, getting you in touch with your energy at your pure state of being, bliss at your being, being able to access bliss within a breath, and getting in tune with our ancestors who trace us back to the source of creation. So in 6 days, you'll receive an email in your inbox, and it'll let you know, hey, it's time to meditate. Let's get it. And you'll have access for the lifetime of the course. So you could go through it as many times as you want, but consider this a a 6-day journey and a gift to self from self. I.
Give thanks. Give thanks. And yeah, Mark's meditations, like I never met Mark before we went on the retreat. I just felt so connected to him, and I went through his meditation myself on a weekly basis, and I felt the power. I felt he was coming from a pure source place that was just so, it was just so, I just felt so right. So it's an amazing offering that he has to put out now. He has something where people can go connect, tune into. And yeah, so don't hesitate. Don't sleep on the court. Like basically what it is you say you can't go on the retreat. It's all good, but don't stop yourself from taking a step today to get you to where you want to go. It's not saying you have to go on the retreat, but take the steps that you know you got to take. And it may be Mark's meditation course. And if that's the case, then it's free. Don't get no better than that. So we give thanks. Yes, Shawnella going to take the course. Give thanks for that.
Give thanks.
And yes, we just going to wrap it up now. And like I said, we appreciate you spending your time with us here this afternoon, this Saturday. And, you know, we don't take this kind of stuff lightly. So, you know, we appreciate honor, and feel free to reach out to us at any time. You can find my Instagram. You could write a comment on it. You could send me an email. All the information's in the description. And just take that feeling that you got today from hearing Shadae speak, from hearing Shade's story, and see how you can bring it back to self. Because that's what it ultimately is all about. How can we bring it back to self? Okay, that was great, Shadae. Listen to your heart. Now, how can I do that? What do I got to do to get to that place? Everyone's a little bit unique. So I'm gonna implore all of you to, you know, to take a part that resonated with you today and see how you can apply it to self. We need to start taking these actions for self today, right? Don't wait till May. All right. So we give thanks for you all for tuning in. And early bird discount has been extended for you all listening here. Just make sure you reach out to us. And yes, Shadae, so much love, so much appreciation, gratitude to have come to have met you, to have you in my life. It's such an honor. I'm so grateful. And it makes me feel good in a selfish way, because I knew you came into my life due to me following my path and me following my purpose and my passion. So I give thanks to you, Shadae. I give thanks to you, Mark. And yes, let's let you two have your finishing words.
Oh my goodness. My heart is so full. Again, thank you so much for the platform. Thank you so much for creating the space. I truly do view the both of you as family, and you're like stuck with me.
I love that. I'm here for it.
I'll see you forever.
I'm here for it.
Seriously, forever. I thank you for showing me a different way. I thank you for being exceptional men. I thank you for just existing and being. Oh, my eyes are getting watery again. But yeah, I love you guys so much. And I thank everyone for listening. I hope something resonated with you, and it's okay if it didn't. I just appreciate the time that you've taken to hear my words, because there was a time when I didn't think my story needed to be heard. And clearly this experience has showed me otherwise. So I thank you guys so much for everything you're offering me, because I feel like I'm getting so much from this moment right now. So thank you, everyone.
Good. Thanks.
Give thanks. Sister, honoring your existence. I'm so thankful we're connected in this resonance, in this powerful tribe, in this frequency family. So much love. Thank you for your presence, everything you've taught consciously in your words, but even in your presence, you may not even know the way that you're teaching from your being. So I give thanks. And Brother Akeem, thank you again for putting us all together, being this anchoring energy to bring us all together. So I give thanks for you being that mountain. I appreciate you, brother. So much love, love, love. And to everyone listening, thank you for your presence. Thank you for your participation, with your awareness, your full involvement, your open heart to receive this message. And thank you for seeing the frequency in us that resonates with those highest possible outcomes. So I give thanks.
Love. So much appreciation. And I see Honorable Priest Kailash and Empress Akeemopierre. So just give thanks for them two to join us. We're going to be going to their space. So it's an honor to have them here tuning in with us. And, you know, so much love.
Honorable.
So much love, gratitude, and appreciation for you two, as you two provide us with an example, a model, and what's happening in real life. So we give thanks for everything that you two do, and for everyone on the stream, so much love, give thanks, and I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Next week, we're gonna have another full taker, another attendee of the retreat come on and share their story. I have a hard time express what really had happened because it was just so powerful. So I thought, let's get the people who went through it, let's get them expressing. So we're gonna be doing that every week for you all. So we look forward to tuning in next week, and look forward to just connecting on throughout the week. As you guys are going to message us, you know, we're going to connect. We're connecting here. So much love, give thanks, and, you know, I'll catch y'all soon. Love.